guys, welcome to a part of my house that you have never seen before. My kitchen. Actually kind of weird if you think about it because I'm a culinary arts teacher. I have some new merch, which is what inspired this. I'm pretty good at making bad decisions, but really great cookies. So I thought maybe we'd make cookies together. I do some cooking with Kelly. We're gonna make my very basic but really delicious cookies. Every student that comes through my classroom makes these. It's simple, but it's also like the best cookie recipe ever. A lot of people think the first step to baking or cooking is washing your hands, but that's not true. It is putting your apron on and tying your hair back. Most people assume that the apron is to keep your clothes clean, but really it's to keep the food clean. And the average human loses 50 to 100 strands of hair a day. That means that's roughly like 4 strands an hour, which means I could possibly get 4 strands of hair in these cookies, and ain't nobody likes a hair cookie. Maybe you're gonna hate this segment because I can't do it without teaching. Okay, we gotta take all this off and wash our hands. First step with our cookies is our fat. A lot of cookies call for butter as their fat, and that makes the thinner, like runnier cookies. So I use shortening. I think the best cookies have a combination of butter and shortening, but again, this is like the first recipe my students do in my class, so we make it really simple. The best shortening to use would be like the butter flavor. In my high school though, we have a budget, so I just use regular shortening and it still tastes fine. I'm not even exaggerating when I say like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these cookies have been made. And I always get good reviews. In my classroom, we'll use this because it's cheaper this way. At home, I'm gonna use this because of ease, and we need a 1 cup shortening. And it can be regular shortening, we use it all the time in my classroom, but if you're trying to go for better tasting, I would use this. And the whole one of these is a cup. Next, we're gonna do 2/3 cup white sugar and 2/3 cup brown sugar. And we only have a 1/3 cup. We only have a 1/3 cup in my classroom, but guess what? Math is delicious. I say, okay, let's do some math. Remember fractions from 4th grade? And they say, I hated fractions. But we learned that 1/3 cup plus 1/3 cup equals 2/3 cup. So are you guys ready for this side of me? I'm kind of nervous about this. And then we're just gonna cream it all together. I actually think it'd be really cool to make like a baking box. I've been kind of leaning into making just like curated gift boxes, but my taste is a little expensive, and so I was looking at my favorite tools, and I'm like, ain't nobody gonna pay $100 for a baking box. I'm gonna need you to get a little closer, okay? Right now it's chunky, all right? We are gonna add eggs, and eggs are magical because they bind everything together. Eggs have a lot of functions in baking, and one of them is a binding agent. Do you hate me yet? We've all been taught, like through movies or from our mom, to crack our eggs on the edge of the bowl, but when you crack your eggs on the edge of the bowl, the little shells get inside of the eggs, and that's not good. So I teach my students to crack it on a flat surface. I have a plate. You can use the countertop. It's just sometimes the eggs get on the countertop, and you have to wipe it up, but I'm not afraid of wiping up stuff either. But the eggs are gonna make it all creamy and beautiful, and it's gonna like emulsify and bind everything together in the cookie. If your recipe is ever too crumbly, you can always add another egg. It's beautiful. Now, most cookies are gonna say wet ingredients and then dry ingredients, incorporate them all together. The reason for that is we're actually creating like a science experiment in the oven, and the baking soda is gonna react with the wet ingredients, and that is what's gonna make your cookie kind of rise, and that's the baking soda is the leavening agent. And we want that chemical reaction to happen in the oven and not here. So that's why we usually do wet and dry ingredients separate and then put them all together. But we're gonna add the flour and our salt and our baking soda right now. We're gonna do a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of baking soda, and we're gonna do 2 1/4 cup of flour. Baking soda usually reacts with an acid, like buttermilk or, gosh, I can't think of any of it right now. Leveling it off. I've done it so much that I know that that's about 1/4. And then we're gonna add our baking soda. I'm running out of baking soda. There you go. And okay, next is the best part, which is chocolate chips. Chocolate chips is the most stolen item in my classroom, and I actually have to keep it in under lock and key, which is insane. And I never pre-measure anything for my students with the exception of chocolate chips. I will actually measure them out into bowls and pass them out to students just because we're living on a budget. But at home, we're gonna measure with our heart. About a half a bag is a couple of chocolate chips. Always err on the side of too many. Everybody wants tasting time, that's what my kids call it, with the cookie dough. But we all know that eggs can have salmonella, but roughly 0.06 eggs have salmonella in it, and even those are a low contaminant. So the reason you can eat the cookie dough and really not get sick is because the odds are in your favor. The actual real danger is the raw flour. The flour is actually what you want to get cooked in, so the raw flour might give you a tummy ache. Looks like cookie dough. We've all made cookies. One of the secrets to getting perfectly uniform cookies is using a cookie scoop. You can use this big one, the ice cream scoop, to make like Subway sized cookies, or the little one for make little smaller bite-sized cookies. I'm gonna do one pan of each just so you can see the difference. Cookie dough is not a ready-to-eat food, so you can touch it with your fingers. If it was a ready-to-eat food, meaning a food that's gonna go directly into someone's mouth, then we would need to wear gloves. I have made so many of these cookies. I feel like I marinate in it that I'm not even that tempted by the cookie dough. They will spread out, so you wanna space them out a little bit. Fun fact, shortening got its name because fats shorten gluten strands. So the more shortening you have in a recipe or fat, it's going to shorten the gluten strand, so it will have less gluten. If we took the cookies like this, they would be like mounds and they wouldn't look like Subway cookies. So we need to flatten it out. You can flatten it with your hands. You can use a measuring cup, and I just spray it so it doesn't stick, and I just squish it down. So now they're gonna cook a little bit more like Subway. This is where we really start to miss my classroom. I have a convection oven in my classroom. Convection ovens are different than your typical convention oven. A convention oven just has heat on the top and the bottom. Convection oven has a fan and heat in the back, so it makes the heat, it distributes the heat all around, and it cooks everything a lot more uniformly and quicker. In a convection oven, these will cook in about 5 minutes. In my oven, they're gonna cook in about 8 to 9 minutes, depending on if you like soft cookies or more crispy cookies. I like a soft cookie, so I pull them out. When they start to get a little bit of brown, they start to crack on the top. They will continue to cook for about a minute after being out of the oven. They're probably gonna take closer to 10 minutes, whereas this one's gonna take like 8. The goal is to always get your dishes done before the cookies are done. So let's see if I can get cleaned up. Start cooking with an empty dishwasher. Ginger's gonna do a little inspection of each of the things I put in here. My favorite pans are these HexClad. Gordon Ramsay uses them. They're so good. Check out my tumbler from Cheap to Charms. They're not quite done. They're still really pale, and there's no cracking. And there's not, we need like a little bit of brown on the outside. So I'm gonna give it another minute or 2. Every time you open the oven, heat comes out. It's not good for it. If you'd like to see more of these, would you like more easy recipes? Would you like complicated recipes? My favorite thing to make is Danishes. I also make pasta from scratch. I have a really great chicken cordon bleu recipe. Let me know. Or should I just stick with the books? If you would like your own one of these, they're available on my website. Now I could call these. Do you see how it's cracking? Do you see how there's like a little bit of brown? These would make a very soft cookie. But I feel like I want them a little bit browner for my personal taste. Cookies definitely not done. These ones are done. Now, if I started to scoop them right away though, they would just fall apart because they're really gooey, so they really do need to cool off. I started strolling the gram and I might have let my cookies burn. They're not burnt, but they're more well done than I like. Dang it. They'll still be good. My family will still eat them, but it would be better if they were not this done. So this is the shape. They're just cute. They're just little, gooey. I have a great cookie. I make bad decisions and great cookies. And started scrolling the Insta. I was my bad. I wish you could see Ginger's face while I eat this. Oh, she wants a cookie. These are the big ones. Not bad. It was a pretty good cookie. All right, thanks for joining me. Let me know if you want more of this side of me, or if I should just stick to the books.